sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
What an awful game. Wow. I was talking to producer Shane right before the countdown started, and I said, man, it's really rare that I get pissed after a hockey game. But man, that game really pissed me off. I'm Matt Ohayon. I'm the Hebrew Hammer. I'm filling in for Tony because Tony's in Portugal, which means it's about 4 a.m. for him. So he obviously did not watch the game. Welcome to the Sick Podcast on this beautiful, warm Wednesday evening. I shouldn't say it's not warm anymore in Montreal, but it was warm today. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Energy Transportation Group has recently been named by Deloitte and CIBC as one of Canada's best managed companies, the country's leading business award, recognizing innovative and world-class companies. The best managed Canadian companies designation fuels Energy's purpose for creating progress for our customers, our employees, and our communities. Join a winning team and check out Energy's career page for available opportunities. We're also brought to you by Playground. With over 30,000 square feet of new gaming, dining, and entertainment space, it's time to reacquaint yourself with Playground. World-class sushi, AAA steak, live shows, and a brand new poker floor, and so much more. Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes away from downtown Montreal. Playground. Experience the strip without the trip. I like that. We're also brought to you by La Bête TB beer, brewed in Quebec and a winner of a dozen international awards. La Bête TB offers a quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bête TB, embrace your true nature. One last one, I promise, then we will talk about the game. We're excited to welcome Accent Insurance as Solutions as a new sponsor of the Sick Podcast. You know all insurance isn't created equal, and you know where to find the right solution for you. Accent Insurance. Accent doesn't sell insurance, they shop insurance for you to find the right product, right on the money, whatever your insurance needs, home, auto, or business. Call the Accent team today at 514-3636. Whatever, you know it. It's on the screen. I'm so mad. And get the right solution at the right price. Visit their website at accentassurance.com. All right. I'm like shocked. I feel bad for all of us here that I wasted 2.5 hours of my life watching that garbage. You guys wasted 2.5 hours watching that garbage. You know, like I'm reading the comments before the podcast started. I have your comments in front of me, and Brian K, Andy, Jean-Charles. I agree with all of you. You know, like that was awful. They didn't even deserve the point. Like usually you're like, oh, we escaped with a point. It's good. At least that. No, that was awful. 6 1/3. You're going to be happy tonight. You usually go after me in the comments because I'm so positive. Well, not tonight. It's not the night tonight to do that. Let's go. Let's bring him on. He usually talks to me on every Friday night. It's Wednesday though, so I'm excited to talk to him tonight. He's Stu Cowan of the Montreal Gazette. Stu, what's going on?
I'm not as angry as you, but it was there was parts of that game that were pretty boring to watch. Sort of nodding off there at times, but
that's it.
The bright side for Canadians, obviously, Caden Primeau, 37 saves, a little help from the goalposts. There's 5 of them during the game, and then 1 in the shootout. But there was some strange things. I mean, Jake Evans on the ice per like more than half the OT. It seemed like he has 2 goals in his last 94 games going back to last season. Some strange things. It just, as you say, they didn't deserve a point. Caden Primeau stole a point for them, and on a road game, I guess Marty St. Louis will be happy. I haven't heard what he said yet after the game, but we'll find out.
Yeah, I had they not escaped with a point, this is a game where I would have, if I was Martin St. Louis, like you already did it, so you can't really play the card again. But I would have called them soft after this game. I would have, because that was a game where, listen, I'm not expecting wins and losses. I'm expecting a quality product. Like the last thing I want, and the last thing the Canadians should want, and the Canadians brass should want, is people watching that game to take their eyes off the screen and to just go right down to their phone and scrolling and doing whatever. I found myself doing that a bunch of times.
There was a couple of times I was nodding off. I really was. There was sort of dozing off for 3 seconds and didn't miss anything. It brought back some bad memories of the Dom Ducharme days, just when they were bad and boring. And tonight they were bad and boring. And also some memories of the Dom Ducharme days with some strange decisions. Like I said, Jake Evans on the ice for it seemed like half the overtime. Jake Evans is he's got 4 goals in 94 games over the last 2 seasons. I don't know. Marty St. Louis is rewarding him for something there, but strange.
I really, with regards to that, like I was thinking about it because I had the same thought. I'm going. I open Twitter just as overtime starts, and I see bang, your tweet pops up. It's the first one on my ticker. Jake Evans to start the overtime ?
Yeah.
And then. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it's just for the opening faceoff, wants to win the faceoff. He was pretty decent on draws tonight. So maybe he gave him that, and then he'll get off the ice. No. Full shift. And he lost the draw.
Yeah, at least 3 shifts, 2 full shifts, not 3. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know. Maybe that was sending a message to his captain and Cole Caulfield that they didn't play very well, because they were pretty invisible for the most part of that game. I don't know. That was
if it's for the face-off, you figure you send Sean Monahan out there. No, at least that seemed more logical to me than Jake Evans. But it was weird. That was a weird one. That was that's why I said my tweet was Jake Evans out to start OT ? It was like, that's a little strange.
It's odd. We could come up with, we could have fun and come up with conspiracy theories of maybe that's Martin St. Louis sending message upstairs saying, I need some players. Maybe it's, a message to the captain and to Cole Caulfield. But really, start to finish, that game was just really discombobulated from start to the end of the shootout. Like even Nick Suzuki, I wrote it down on the paper. Even the shootout, Nick Suzuki seemed out of sync.
Didn't get a shot.
Well, that's it. And,
didn't get a shot in the shootout. I mean, it's the other strangest part. I mean, they got 2 shots on goal in the first period, and they both went in. Like, when was the last time that ever happened? They got 2 shots, and they were leading 2-1 after 1 period. And both goals were, Monahan on the deflection, and then Savard. It looked first they gave the goal to Slavkovsky. It looked like it hit him, but it didn't. It was just a lot of weird things and not a entertaining hockey game. Really, the overtime was entertaining, but apart from that, the only thing really worth watching was Caden Primeau, who a solid game and helped from his goalposts. 5 goalposts.
Yeah, I mean, listen, perspective is necessary. The reason why I'm so mad is because the Canadians played Saturday night. Like we said, that was going to be a better game. Chances are that was going to be an easier game for the Canadians than the one against the Sabres, and it was.
Yeah, I think I told you that Sabres game would be a tough one.
You did, and I gave you credit that night after the game. But you even said like they have a better chance of winning that game. Granted, they were heavily outplayed against the Rangers, but they got the 2 points, and they should.
They were outplayed against the Rangers, but they played much better than they were tonight.
Exactly
against the Flyers, and they're playing a better team against the Rangers also.
So that was Saturday. This is Wednesday. Like how many times can we say you got a week off, you got this many days off, and you got this, and, you got that, and they just come out so flat.
This team is the best word to describe this Canadiens team, apart from rebuilding, is inconsistent. They're so inconsistent. They haven't won more than 2 games in a row all season. They haven't lost more than 4 in a row all season. So they're just, win 1, lose 2, win 2, lose 3. That's just who they are. They're the 500 team, the way the standings work now. Now they're 1 game below with the loss, but that's just who they are. They're too inconsistent as a team, and they're too inconsistent with too many of their players. They need forwards to score goals. I mean, they're just there's so many guys. I mean, Yolen is now at 23 games without a goal. Gallagher went 24 games without a goal. Anderson went 24 games without a goal. Slafkovsky after tonight, I think it's 8 games without a goal now after he had back-to-back. Cole Caulfield Sean Monahan's tied with Cole Caulfield in goals now with 11, 1 behind Nick Suzuki. Their forwards don't score, and it's been the problem with this team for a long, long time. And where's the fix? Like, who's the forward coming up who's going to score these goals? Joshua was the guy in Laval. He's been started off hot and then cooled off. He's gotten a little bit hotter again recently, but they just don't have forwards that can score goals, and it's a huge problem.
Listen, the problem is glaring. I mean, everyone in the comments is lighting it up, saying, there's just not enough talent, and I agree with them. But there's one thing, like, wins and losses. Again, it's the wins are a bonus still this season. I think the Canadiens bottomed out last year. Granted, they got a lot of injuries this year, so there's built-in excuses for the wins and losses. There's never an excuse for lack of effort. And I mean, it's just that I rarely, and deservedly so, rarely ever get on Nick Suzuki's case. But just looking at his stat line, like, this really bugs me. Like, he had 21 and a half minutes of ice time. Stat line 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's Sam Mitchell. 0, 0, 0. 1 hit. 0, 0. Like,
well, Jake Evans had 20 minutes of ice time with 1 hit and 1 shot.
It's just, hey, he had 6 shot attempts.
And I'm not knocking Jake Evans is who he is. He's a 4th line center who works hard, doesn't have much offensive ability, gives you a solid effort, plays hard. But why is he out so much in overtime? Unless
I know
maybe Marty St. Louis trying to give him some confidence. I'm obviously not in Philadelphia to ask Marty St. Louis after the game why, but that was one that had me scratching my head.
Yeah, I just listen. The only other forward who had more zeros on his stat line than Nick Suzuki was Yoel Armia, and he played
no hits or no shots. Yeah,
exactly, and he played 10 minutes less. Yeah. So it's just that's a
Cole Caulfield 1 shot for Cole Caulfield in 19 minutes and 56 seconds of ice time.
And there's
Cole Caulfield is. They're paying him $9.975 million this year, including a $5 million signing bonus. They're paying him that to score goals. And he's not. I mean, he had that one sort of breakaway and he missed the net. You wonder what it is at this point. Is it the shoulder bothering him? I know he likes that high, short side shot a lot, and goalies are anticipating it now, especially on the power play, and are coming across and making that save. But, Sean Monahan has as many goals as Cole Caulfield. And 11 goals. I do the math. I think he's on pace for about 20 goals now, 21 goals now to finish the season. And last year he had 26 goals in 46 games. So he's paid to score goals, and people can say, analytics stats, he's doing better, and his defensive play away from the puck is better, but he's paid to put the puck in the net, and it's just not happening. And it didn't happen in the shootout tonight either.
Yeah, it's a tough one with Cole Caulfield, because it's, again, nobody knows really except for him and maybe Martin St. Louis and the trainers, the people closest to him, about what's going on with his shoulder. So that's a tough one. But again, you got to put forward more of an effort. Like, you got to give me more shots on goal. You're not going to score.
Yeah,
You're not going to score any goals with one shot on goal. Like it's crazy. Let's talk about a couple of positives. Because they're deserved. The first and foremost, I mean, the most obvious one, not without a little bit of luck, but you got to be, as they say, you got to be good to be lucky. Caden Primeau had a really, really good game.
He did. Yeah, and as you said, the 5 goalposts, well, he'll say he played his angle or whatever. One of them was when he crawled out on the ice, but he had some luck with him, but he made some big saves in overtime. He made some big saves near the end of the game. He earned them the point. He's the main reason why they got a point tonight. And the 3 goalie system, as nobody likes it. The 3 goalies don't like it. Marty St. Louis doesn't like it. But Primeau's played well. He's played well. That's the last 4 starts he's had, 3 or 4 starts. Montembeault's played well. Jake Allen has struggled. He's the guy that I'm sure Kent Hughes wants to trade, and the fact he's not playing well is making that more difficult, or at least making it more difficult for him to get what he'd like to get in exchange. But yeah, for the thing with Primeau, and I spoke with him about this the other day. He used to seem so mentally fragile when he was called up before. Like he'd let in a bad goal, and you could sort of see his body language would be bad. Then that game against Florida earlier this season, when he got beat 5 times to the glove side, and you're like, oh boy, okay, let's send this guy back to Laval. But he's mentally tougher now. And I asked Marty St. Louis about it after practice the other day, and he said, yeah, he's maturing in that area where he doesn't get down on himself as much as he used to. And that's obviously one of the biggest keys. That's one of Sam Montembeault's biggest strengths, is that nothing phases him. Lets in a bad goal, he shakes it off. Has a bad game, he shakes it off. Nothing bothers him. He's got some Carey Price in him in that way, that he's able to just flow with the punches, or roll with the punches. But for Primeau, I think that's a big thing. Like the goal post tonight, like the first shot of the game. Well, not a shot because it hit the post, but it was high to the glove side again. Hit the post, and I was sitting there watching. Oh boy, they've obviously been told to shoot high glove side on him, and the first shot hits the post. But that would have rattled him earlier. Tonight it didn't. He had a solid game. He really played solid, and people that really got lucky because 5 posts. Goalies will tell you that he had the angle taken, and that's all he had was to hit the post. But he was lucky. But he was also solid. He made a lot of big saves. There's 5 posts, but he made more than 5 really good saves tonight.
And listen, he's the biggest reason why this game was pushed to a shootout. Mm-hmm. He made 6 or 7 saves, none better than the
2-on-1 in overtime. Some of them really good scoring chances too.
So biggest reason why it even got pushed to shootout, giving his team a chance to win the game. I really liked Caden Primeau tonight. I've been tough on him in the past. I really didn't, but. I don't want to say I'm starting to turn a corner, but I'm like getting towards the corner. I'm moving towards it.
Yeah, I wrote a column yesterday on Primeau, going back to Philadelphia, the city where he grew up, where his dad played for the Flyers, and this was a big game for him. Obviously meant a lot. He had a lot of family and friends there. Marty St. Louis said it was just a coincidence that he ended up getting to start in Philadelphia. Montembeault stayed home. He'll start tomorrow night at the Bell Center. But moving forward, the goalie future. For at least the next couple of years, Montembeault is your number 1 and Primeau is your backup. And if Primeau can handle, 30 games a year and give you a performance close to what he had tonight, gives your team a chance to win, right? That's all you can ask from your goalie. And Sam Montembeault has proven he can give his team a chance to win. He's proven he can steal a game like he did against the Rangers. And tonight, Primeau stole a point for the Canadiens. So now for Kent Hughes just needs to get Jake Allen playing a little better. Allen hasn't had much help either. His last 10 games, the Canadiens have scored 18 goals combined. So it's tough when you're when your teammates aren't scoring much. But Kent Hughes was on L'Antichambre the other night, and he said that this 3 goalie system could last until the end of the season. If he doesn't get, he'd like to get it done by the trade deadline, but if he doesn't get an offer that he thinks is worth it before the trade deadline, he'll wait and see, and maybe the goalie market, they'll get a better offer in the offseason for Jake Allen. You have to think that's the guy he's going to move. But who knows? Maybe Primeau. Somebody offers him something for Primeau. But as for now, the 3 goalie system is going to continue. Yeah,
it's as frustrating as it must be for the goalies. By all accounts, except for Allen, who struggled, been working for Montembeault and Primeau. You know, they're playing well, like you said. So
and one of the big reasons it works well is that the three guys really get along well. Like Jake Allen's been a mentor to both of them. Jake Allen's obviously not happy about this situation. He's wondering what his future is going to hold. You know, he's got a wife and kids and a family. He's going to be in Montreal. What's going to happen? Where's he going to be? But they work well together. The three of them, they're not, you know, they understand the situation. They don't like it, but they're trying to make the best of it. And they're trying to, as Primeau told me the other day, they're yesterday after practice, they're trying to, you know, you be ready to go when your name's called. And when your name is not called, you help the other guy or cheer him on or do the best for him to do the best they can do. So they're competing with each other, not against each other, I guess is the way to put it. They all want to play well, and you know, two of the three have. And Jake Allen, he's been unlucky. You know, talk about unlucky and not getting much support from his teammates when he's been in net. So, you know, Montembeault is going to start tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, because they left him back here in Montreal to be rested. And then you figure Jake Allen starts Saturday night. I think that's how the rotation is going to go.
That's I feel like that one's going to leave a lot of people shaking their heads, not shaking their heads, but scratching their heads, rather, because it's, you know, I get that it's a 3-goalie system, but conventional wisdom says, you know, a goalie plays well, you want to ride the hot hand. And, you know, if Montembeault goes out there tomorrow night, gets a post 25 save, 30 save shutout, you know, it's like you kind of shake your head, scratch your brain, do whatever, and go, how could you not start this guy again? He's like playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, and the other thing with Primeau, I mean, he's only played 9 goals this season. Nine goals. He's only played 9 games this season. That's not enough. Like, that's for his development. You know, he's still a young developing goalie, and to only have 9 games, that's not helping him moving forward in any way. Obviously, I don't want to send him to Laval because they're worried somebody's going to claim him on waivers. And with Montembeault, you're right. I mean, Montembeault, you know, after the game the other night, I tweeted, you know, he should be the number 1 goalie now. Like, he's your number 1. To me, he should be playing 2 out of every 3 games, and then you rotate Allen and Primeau in the other game. But again, it's not enough action for Primeau as a young guy. You know, Jake Allen's been around. He was brought in here to be the backup for Carey Price. He was brought in here to play 20 games a year. You know, that was the plan when they first brought him here. He's used to that backup role. He played it in St. Louis. But for a young guy like Primeau, this is almost, I don't want to say a wasted year of development, but it's not really a helpful year of development for him playing as little as he is.
Well, and there you go, because again, I have the comments of everyone. Thank you for commenting. Keep commenting. I'm loving it, because I'm getting a lot of you guys are making my mind move tonight. It's just one guy, just keep the 3 goalies even next season if they don't get a great offer for Allen. Why is everyone so obsessed with having 2 goalies? I mean, that's how an NHL team operates. What do you?
It's not as bad when the Canadians are in Brossard because they have 2 rinks. So one of the goalies will go work on the second rink with Eric Ramon, the goalie coach. But when you're practicing on the road, or that there's 1 rink, there's 2 nets. So you have 1 goalie standing around doing nothing or not getting enough. Not only is Primeau not getting enough game action, he's not getting enough practice action. Neither all 3 of the goalies. It's not good for anybody, the 3 goalie system. And at the end of the day, like, how much can Kent Hughes expect to get for Jake Allen? You know, how much are you're not going to get a 1st-round pick. You're probably not going to get you're not going to get that much. Like, waiting, how much longer are you going to wait? And how much is that wait? The way it's going now, it's decreasing his value, right? The way Allen's playing, you're going to get less from him than you're going to get more. So, you know, to me, at some point, you just got to bite the bullet and move Allen, take what you can get, and move forward in the development of your goalies with the hope that Caden Primeau can be the backup with Sam Montembeault as your number 1 guy.
And
then you got Jacob Fowler also coming up. I mean, he could be your number 1 goalie of the future. He's, you know, having a great first season at Boston College, and he was part of the U.S. team that won the World Juniors. He was the backup, but he played a couple of games there. So I just don't understand. Like, I understand Kent Hughes' patience, and I've applauded him for that many times. He doesn't rush into anything. He takes his time. But as far as this rebuild goes, I think the patience is getting to the point where it's hurting the rebuild instead of helping it, in that Caden Primeau's not getting enough action, and Sam Montembeault's not getting the workload of a number one goalie. If you want to find out for sure if he's the number one guy, play him. And and on that Lonty Shime interview, he was saying one of the reasons they had the 3 goalie system, Hughes was saying, is that Montembeault wasn't signed. So you didn't want to, then he ends up leaving, and then you're left with Allen, and you don't know. So once they got Montembeault signed for the 3-year deal, 3 years after this season, to me, again, patience is good, and Ken Hughes has a lot of it, but how much more are you going to get for Jake Allen?
Well, that's the thing, is that it's like you got to pick your spots, and it's funny you mentioned that of increasing, decreasing value, because just on the other side of that, on a positive note, it's just we've said many times on this show that he doesn't have to trade him this year because he has one more year on his contract. But man, oh man, every time David Savard steps on the ice, this guy's like got to see, Kent Hughes I'm talking about, has got to see, like, I mean, not dollar signs, because you don't sell players in hockey, but you got to see first round pick signs in your eyes.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
I'd be surprised if David Savard isn't worth a first round pick at the trade deadline. I mean, he got his 4th goal tonight. That's one more than he had in 62 games last season. You see the shots he blocked tonight. You see him clearing out the front of the net. What I admire, but like, he makes so many good passes in his own zone. Like, he makes the smart pass like 99% of the time, and it's a hard pass. It's on the tape to tape. He's a really underrated player, and I think maybe Canadiens fans who did underrate him realized how good he is when he wasn't in the lineup for the 20 games or whatever it was with his broken hand. He just does, as Marty St. Louis said, I asked him after practice about a month ago or so, he's not very fast, David Savard, are very quick. And he said, well, define quick. He's not quick with his feet, but he's quick with his brain, and he's quick when he makes passes, and he's quick when he gets a shot off from the point. He does a lot of things quick. Skating isn't one of them. And then he's got that massive body, that world's strongest man build. I mean, the amount of shots he blocks, it's crazy. And you saw it again tonight. So if you're a playoff team and you want that guy, the penalty killer who blocks shots, a physical defenseman, the guys you need in the playoffs, that's what Tampa Bay saw in him, right? When they got him, and they went on and won the cup with him. So I'd be very surprised if Kent Hughes doesn't get a first-round pick for David Savard before the trade deadline this year. He's got one more year left on his contract, so that's digestible for a team. And then the team that does acquire him or would acquire him this season, he'd probably have a high value at the trade deadline next year again if you want to keep him in your plan. So to me, if I'm a GM of another team and I'm looking for that veteran, steady defenseman, good in the room, the guys in the Canadiens all love him, really good guy, great sense of humor. The young guys, he's like a father figure to Caden Gooley, and a lot of guys I have to really miss him in the room if he was traded. But again, I'd be surprised if he's still with the Canadiens after March 8th, and I'd be surprised if Kent Hughes can't get a first-round pick for him.
And the more I think about it, and I know he's within the division and all this stuff, and it's a rival, but it just, Toronto makes the most. Forget the dollars, because they just signed William Nylander, and I don't know how that affects anything, but just it makes so much sense. He's like exactly what they need on that blue line. It's unbelievable how much of a match this is, and just
and he's a calming influence. Like, Toronto seems to panic right in the playoffs too. He's just when you're around him, he's such a calming influence. He's just a big bear of a man, and he's just very sort of soft-spoken and quiet, but physical on the ice. I mean, I can't remember who it was in the Flyers. He cleaned them out in front of the net there tonight. He's not fun to play against. He's a big, strong man, and he's not fun when he's leaning on you in the boards. He's not fun if it's not a big open ice hitter, because he's not that quick on his feet, but he plays a physical game.
And it's just, I think back whenever I think of David Savard, I really just, you think back to that Stanley Cup run with Tampa Bay, and how much he helped them, and how much he was a nightmare. And then Marc Bergevin probably said, "Oh man, Shea Weber's not going to be gone." And I'm before anyone puts words in my mouth, I'm not comparing David Savard to Shea Weber, But I said this back in my radio days when they signed him. I said, they're not bringing him to be Shea Weber. They're not bringing him in to be Shea Weber. They're bringing him in to play his role on the ice.
Yeah.
Because he's a nasty big guy who could pitch in offensively when he needs to, and he's physical. You don't like playing against him, and you're seeing it. It's just he is a tough guy to play against.
And he's playing on the top pairing here with Matheson. He had 23 minutes of ice time tonight. Now on a real Stanley Cup contending team, he's probably he's going to be on your second, maybe even your third pairing. He's going to have less minutes, which will probably make him even more effective. He won't be as physically tired. And, he has offensive skill, more offensive skill than he's given credit for, too. He played in the Quebec Junior League his last year with Moncton. He had 77 points in 64 games, including 13 goals. So he has offensive ability. I mean, he's learned his role in the NHL. He's not the fastest skater, as he said, so he's not going to be the offensive defenseman he was in junior. But as I say, you watch the passes he makes, and the shot he scored from the blue line tonight, the point shot, it was just a smart shot, right? He found an open lane. Later in the game, there was one he had at the point. There was congestion in front of the net. He fired it off the boards behind the net. Perfect bounce right in front of the net. Created another scoring chance. He's just, as Marty St. Louis said, his feet aren't quick, but his brain's really quick. He thinks the game really quick. He thinks it well. High hockey IQ. And plays a physical game. He's a valuable defenseman. And as I said, it'd be a team looking for that guy. He's 33 years old. He's not young, but there's only one more year left on that contract, so it's very digestible.
And the other thing is the just back to value and going up and down, like we were talking about with Jake Allen, is that I'm thinking about it and I'm going, man, especially with hockey players, like Father Time, it's undefeated with any athlete.
Yep.
And with hockey players in particular, especially with players like David Savard who play his style of game, the fall off happens very fast.
Yeah.
Like very, very fast. The brain can get you very far. But if you're not physically capable of doing it anymore, what can you do? The guy's blocking an unbelievable amount of shots at, you said it yourself, 33, 34 years old.
And some guys get old really fast. I mean, we saw it in Montreal with Scott Gomez, right? He was great in New Jersey. He came here, and then all of a sudden he got old. Like in one season, he got old. That outside move he used to like to do, he couldn't beat the defenseman anymore. And that was it. He lost that little bit of a step, but speed's never been David Savard's game. You look at Alex Ovechkin. You talk about getting old fast. He's got 8 goals this season. He had 42 last year. Like all of a sudden, you said Father Time's undefeated, and sometimes it's a couple of blows that stagger you, and sometimes it's like a knockout punch. It just hits you in one shot. But I don't see that. Like I don't see David Savard getting old as quick as an offensive player, just because his mind, his game, he's already slow. He's not going to get a whole lot slower. He's a large man. So I wouldn't be like one more year. Like again, with one more year, maybe after next season, you start worrying. He's 34 and he's getting worn down, but the contract's up. But you're right. Father Time is undefeated. We've seen Brendan Gallagher get old quick. With all the injuries involved also. But for David, so I wouldn't be concerned about that with David Savard, at least not at this point.
Well, it's just, you gotta, it's tough because in my head, I'm going, well, I mean, who knows what's going to happen, what's going to be in 2 months from now, let alone next year. But it's hard to imagine really he'd be playing as good a hockey at this rate, like,
and with the minutes he's playing.
But that's the thing. Across the board, we could point at almost every single skater for the Canadians. I could point at one other one who didn't have a bad game, but I could only point at one skater who had a good game, and it's David Savard tonight on a night like tonight. Yep,
he does a lot of things really well. It's and a lot of the things he doesn't get enough credit, I don't believe, for a lot of the things that he does. But I'm sure other GMs around the league notice. I mean, he's averaging 21 minutes of ice time a game this season at 33 years old. So when we're talking about Father Time, for a guy that age playing that many minutes on a team that's not that good. Like the puck's in the Canadian defensive zone a lot more than it would be in the defensive zone on a good team.
Yeah. Let's talk about it because little topical because I mean it was yesterday's news, but it's topical because they played the team that was involved, one of the teams that was involved in the trade tonight. Cutter Gauthier, of a former prospect of the Philadelphia Flyers, drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers, had an amazing World Juniors. Gets traded surprisingly to the Anaheim Ducks for Jamie Drysdale, who had an assist tonight and a second-round pick. But the interesting part on Twitter that made its rounds was a Philadelphia reporter said he had it under pretty good sources, word, that Cutter Gauthier was offered to the Canadiens for the 5th overall pick.
Yeah.
And the Montreal Canadiens said no. The Flyers were hoping for a duo of I guess David Reinbacher and Matvei Michkov, which would have been unbelievable. But they only end up with one of them. So what did you have any thoughts when you saw that pop up?
Well, it makes me wonder, okay, if they wanted to trade Cutter Gauthier before all this happened, what was wrong with him? Because he was drafted, was he 6th overall? I think he was a high pick also.
Yeah.
So, okay, so why did you want to trade him? And, people are going crazy. I mean, Reinbacher hasn't had a great season this year. Ken Hughes spoke about that when he was on Lunty Shop the other night also. But this is one of those things. We'll talk about this in 5 years and see if the Canadiens did the right thing or the wrong thing. Who knows how. And Cutter Gauthier, you start wondering about a guy it's really weird, eh? Like, why don't you want to play in Philadelphia? Is it you don't want to play for John Tortorella? Is that the issue? I mean, Marty St. Louis was interviewed in Philadelphia today and talked about how much he loved playing for John Tortorella. And Josh Anderson's told me the same thing about Tortorella. If you play hard and you do what he asks you to do, you have no problems with him. He's great. He's open. He's very, as Marty St. Louis said today in Philadelphia, he's very direct in his conversations with you. You know where you stand with John Tortorella. Like, he doesn't play mind games. If you're not playing well, he's right in your face and you're going to be a healthy scratch. Some guys can deal with that and some guys can't. So maybe Cutter Gauthier, maybe he didn't want to come and play there. But it's weird that the Flyers were looking to trade him even before, if the report's right, even before he didn't want to play for them. Like, there's something in this story that we don't have the whole story yet. Like, there's something weird going on behind the scenes, that why Philadelphia wanted to trade him or was interested in trading him in the first place, and then why he didn't want to play. I mean, maybe was he upset that they wanted to trade him, or heard that they wanted to trade? Like, it's just a really strange situation. But now he gets to end up in Anaheim, where people don't really care that much about hockey, and you won't have John Tortorella in his face screaming and yelling at him. And as far as the Reinbacher thing, again, come back in 5 years and we'll see who's the better defenseman.
So I had pretty much the same reaction as you. People flipping out, going, "Oh my God, the Canadiens could have had Cutter Gauthier." Well, it's like, if you didn't want to play for the Flyers. Now, I'm not going to say that the Flyers have like this unbelievable pipeline and future ahead of them, because frankly, I don't follow them. So they could, I don't know. But I find it very weird when a guy who was drafted in the same year as Juraj Slafkovsky, so he would have been in his second year in the NHL, just comes out and flat out says, "I don't want to play for you." Like, what? It doesn't happen in hockey.
No.
I
mean, Eric Lindros, but that was years ago. We learned out years that he had good reason not to want to play in Quebec. It wasn't the city, it wasn't the team, it was Obu, right? That was why he didn't want to go there. So
it's just it's a weird one for me, and it's just something flashes in my head. And again, it happens once a show where I make a football reference. I'm going to make it again for the football fans watching. This year's, I want to say, consensus first overall pick of the NFL draft, his name is Caleb Williams. He plays for USC. He's a quarterback. And there's a report that comes out in the middle of the year. First of all, this guy is supposed to be the next big thing. He's the next Patrick Mahomes, they're saying. And his college team is, it's nothing great. They wouldn't even have cracked the new college football playoff with 12 teams, let alone the top four. And that's off the back of a quarterback. And he comes out and he's not talking after big losses to conference teams this season. And then there's a report that comes out that says, the NFL, when he enters the draft, he only wants to go to a team that's going to give him a portion of the franchise. And it's like, what the hell's going on here? Like, just say you don't want to play for the Chicago Bears or whoever's going to at the top of the draft. Like it's a red flag to me. Like, who are you, 20 whatever year old? And in Cutter Gauthier's case, how old is he? He must be 19?
Yeah, and the thing in the NHL, it's an entry level. I mean, the CBA, there's entry level deal, so you know what you're going to make. It's not like the NFL. You know basically what you're going to get wherever you go. And at that age, you think you'd be excited just playing in the NHL, right? And make your name in the NHL. And Philadelphia's a good hockey market. The fans can be tough, as you said. John Tortorella can be tough, but I still think there's something that's going to come out down the road that, whether it's on the Flyers side or on his side or a combination of both, why this fit wasn't going to work. And
I love what they're taking heat, but clearly they were forced into this move. Philadelphia was. So good on them.
If you don't want to be a Flyer, you won't be a Flyer. Like, you want a guy in the locker room who doesn't want to be there. And that's one of the things with the Canadians now. On the other side of that is like, talking about Sean Monahan and David Savard and Suzuki. These guys want to be in Montreal. They like playing in Montreal. They want to be here. And that's how you build a winning franchise, right? You don't build a winning franchise. There's some guy walking around moping all the time that I don't want to be here or I shouldn't be here and stuff like that. So the Flyers, their hands were tied. They had to, you don't want to be here, you're going to be a problem, we'll get rid of you.
Well, that's it. And it's really like a Philly thing, like when you follow sports, just following stories throughout the year in Philadelphia. Like there was a story in baseball. I remember someone said, it was a Phillies player and he basically said, he talked crap about Philadelphia. His own fans booed him.
Oh yeah,
right on the field.
He booed Santa Claus in Philadelphia, right?
They are a proud people, and he would not be accepted even if he got, like, let's say the Jeff Petrie treatment, where it's like, okay, listen, we're gonna trade you, no problem. We're gonna honor your request, but I'm not gonna rush to it. Yeah. He would have gotten that. Like, you are getting booed on the ice by your own people. Like, that's
wait till he comes to Philadelphia with Anaheim. That's going to be interesting.
That's going to be. Anyways, I thought that was fun. That was a fun story. It was a good Canadians connection. I mean, it's silly season, right? That's what it is. That's what we call it at this time of year, in the age of social media and the trade deadline coming up. Just rumors flying. Well, and
the Canadians fans are going crazy because with the Ryan, but neither of these guys have played a game in the NHL. Like, nobody knows. He was great at the World Juniors. There's lots of guys who were great at the World Juniors and weren't very good in the NHL. It's as again, any drafted player, like, give it 5 years and then see if it was the right pick or not. Wait another 3 years and we can say if Slafkovsky was the right pick, for the Canadians. People are already saying that, the Habs won the trade because one that did the right thing because Shane Wright's not even in the NHL right now. Well, maybe 3 years from now, Shane Wright's in the NHL scoring 25 goals and Yuri Slafkovsky scoring 12. It's possible.
And it's just, I find it's today's age and really across all sports. It's like,
especially in the NHL,
you're given so little time. The
NFL, you get drafted, you play it. Like, you get drafted, you're on the team the next season, right? The NHL, it's different. I mean, baseball is even more different. Baseball, it's a long process going through the minor leagues, but in hockey, and you're drafting younger guys in hockey too at 18 years old. So, it's Slafkovsky's making progress now. Looking good. Shane Wright's in the AHL, but again, 3 years from now, that could all change. Or 3 years from now, Slafkovsky could be a 35 goal scorer for the Canadians, and Shane Wright might have been traded by Seattle somewhere else because he didn't work out.
Yeah, well, it's you know what though? I'll say this: I love the attitude on Shane Wright's face. Like, I remember when he got drafted, he fell all the way to 3 after being projected number 1, and he gives like that stare. There was a tweet where he gave a stare over the Canadians table. Like, I love that.
And people ripped him for that. People said, "Oh, he's in." Well, do you want him to be happy? You want to be happy that he wasn't drafted number 1 and go, oh, that's fine. No, you want a guy who's going to be pissed off. You know, he's like, now he's got a chip on his shoulder. I'm going to show you something. I didn't know. And he's 18 years old. You know, he's 18 years old. He's acted like a pissed off 18-year-old. You know, it's my kids are 25 and 23, but I remember the pissed off 18-year-old mode too. And this is a kid who had also been told since the time he was like 14 he was going to be the number 1 pick. He was a top-rated kid at every level he played, and leading up to the draft, it was, you know, that was the Canadiens were going to fail in the, you know, tank so that they could get Shane Wright. It wasn't so they could get Juraj Slafkovsky. That wasn't the talk, you know, leading up to the draft that year. So he was pissed off, and he showed it, and good for him. You know, he didn't do anything outrageous. He just gave a stare at the table, like, you guys are going to regret this, and maybe they will. And if the Canadiens do end up regretting it, that video clip will be played over and over and over and over again. If Shane Wright turns out to be a 30-goal scorer, you know, every time he plays against the Canadiens, they're going to show that clip.
And it's going to be like nightmare fuel for Canadiens fans, like time and time again. Canadiens fans among the most passionate, but also, you know, at least my generation of Canadiens fans, like, we've really been put through the ringer when it comes to first round. It's like anything that could go wrong goes wrong, and it's.
I tweeted the last game when Armia scored, and I tweeted, Joel Armia now with 6 goals has 2 more goals than Juraj Slafkovsky, and I just got bombarded on Twitter like, it's a fact. He has 2 more goals than Juraj Slafkovsky. Why would you make that comparison? How can you do that? Well, one guy started the year in the American Hockey League. He missed 16 games. 4th liner who kills penalty has 2 more goals than the number 1 draft pick who's playing on the first line. It was, you can read it as a negative towards Slafkovsky, or you can read it as a positive towards Armia, but it was just a fact. That's all. You know, during the game, I tweet out. You follow my Twitter account, I tweet out all kinds of facts. You know, tweet tonight, David Savard scored his 4th goal, 1 more than he had last season. But people just went nuts, and it just shows you the passion that the Canadiens fan base has for this team. And right now, it's the protection mode for Juraj Slafkovsky, right? Fans love him, and there's a reason to. We were seeing progress for him. He's doing well. He's a likable kid. I really like Slafkovsky. He's a fun kid to be around. Got a great sense of humor. I can see why his teammates like him. His coaches like him. He's a sponge. He listens and all that stuff. But 2 years from now, if he still has 4 goals, the Habs fans are going to turn on him like crazy, you know?
Oh, yeah. And and like you said, protection mode is deservedly so. Yep. He's 20. He's not even 20. He's 19. Yeah, you know, like, it's so young. Well, how old was Nathan McKinnon when like people would say that's not a fair comparison? Well, you know, he's a first overall pick. They have that in common. You know, obviously he had much more offensive ability, had a much more successful rookie season in the first few seasons, but he didn't turn into this 90-point, animal like he's on pace this year. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's on pace to have his best season of his career. He didn't have that kind of breakout season till year 5.
Yeah, I mean, he's arguably the best player in the NHL right now. You know, it's and to just go out there, like, who would have thought at this point in the season that Joel Armia would have more goals than Juraj Slafkovsky? It's especially Armia, who shows up. They say tonight, no shots on goal, no hits, no nothing. You get a lot of nights like that from Joel Armia. He's one of the most frustrating hockey players. I can't imagine coaching Juraj Slafkovsky, how frustrating it must be. You must just want to pick up those little video screens behind the bench sometimes and slam them, because he's got all the friggin' talent, and he probably has more talent than Juraj Slafkovsky, just natural talent, ability to protect the puck and all that stuff. But too many nights he just doesn't show up, and then he'll get hot for a little while, like he did, and score a couple of goals, 3 goals in 4 games or whatever it was, and then he'll go back to a game like tonight where no shots, no hits, no nothing.
Not even a missed shot, not even a shot attempt. That's the frustrating part. But but you know what? Listen, he was it's funny because just to go back to that comparison that you made, it's like they're on the same team. That's how you can compare. That's how you can compare them. They're 2 NHL players that play on the same team, and one was pretty much at the beginning of the season, by all accounts, dead to rights. His NHL career.
Cleared
Nobody
waivers.
thought they would
Nobody
see him.
wanted him. Nobody wanted him. He cleared waivers. And now he's got 2
Exactly.
more goals and the number 1 overall pick in the draft. So it's a fact. It's not you can read it however you want to read it.
It is a fact, but another fact is that Slavkovsky, listen, if you want to erase, let's play this game. Let's play revisionist history. It's my favorite game. I hate doing this with my friends, but let's do it anyways. You erase the first month of Yuri Slavkovsky's season. I even say 6 weeks. You are over the moon with where he is.
Oh yeah,
oh my god,
he's using his body more. I mean, that goal that Savard ended up getting credit for. I mean, Slavkovsky had a big role, and he was standing in front of the net. The goalie didn't see anything. If he keeps doing that, he's going to get a lot more goals. He's using his body more. He's better away from the puck. You see him back checking more. It still drives me crazy, the one hand on the stick all the time, the one hand poke check, where instead of finishing a check, it's always the Jonathan Drouin one hand poke check. But I mean, he's improved, and you see him working before practice on his shot, and he's a really good, he's a fun kid to be around. And one of the reasons they drafted him was because of his personality and his confidence that he can handle playing in Montreal, right? He can handle all this stuff that's coming at him. I mentioned Drouin there before, the one-handed poke check. Drouin couldn't handle everything in Montreal that was coming at him, right? He just mentally wasn't made to take it, whereas Slavkovsky's good game, bad game in the room afterwards. He'll laugh, he'll joke around. He's very, but that doesn't mean he's not hard on himself. Like, he knows when he's had a bad game, but he's got a good personality. He's learning. He's a big kid. That's obvious. We can see, he needs to shoot the puck more. That's, to me, I think his biggest thing right now. He's always looking to pass the puck. He's got to shoot the puck. To me, anytime he's got to take a little bit of Cole Caulfield. Anytime you're anywhere near a scoring chance or a high danger zone, shoot. But that'll come if he does that and he keeps going to the net like he's been doing. He's going to get his goals.
You know what?
It's harder. It's harder to teach a young player how to play away from the puck than it is to teach them how to play with the puck, because they all know if you're first overall pick, you know how to play with the puck. That's obvious, right? That's obvious. And he's also, the change from the big rink to the smaller rink, a lot of changes for him. So it's a lot to like about Yuri Slavkovsky. And especially, I mean, there's parts earlier this season where he looked lost, especially in his own zone. Like, your games you watch him in the press, and what is he doing? Where is he going? And losing puck battles and falling down. And and I think a lot of that has to do with Marty St. Louis' decision to put him on that number 1 line and leave him there. It's getting close to 20 games now. I think they've been together. And I think that was smart, because I spoke with Slavkovsky about this a little while ago, and he said it's good just knowing that if you have that one bad game as a line, you're not going to get broken up. You have that confidence that you're going to be back together the next game. You can build some chemistry and get things going. So I think that was a really smart move by Marty St. Louis, and I'm sure Kent Hughes had a say in it too on Jeff Gorton. We're going to put him on that line. When we drafted him, that was what we were thinking in the future. He was going to play with these 2 guys. We're going to put him there, and we're going to leave him there. And we're going to let him learn, and he's learning.
I like that he's there, and I like that they're keeping him there. What I didn't like, it's just like, why did you not play him at all in the overtime if you're Martin St. Louis? Like, it's again, just there's some things Martin St. Louis does where it's like there's always a method. There's a method to a lot of madness, but some things it's just it's not that deep. This is a first overall pick. He's playing well. Yes, he's not having the best night. Nobody on the team is having a good night. If you wanted to only put players who are having a good night on the ice in overtime, you're only putting David Savard and Caden Gooley. Yeah. You're going to play 3-on-2.
Yeah.
That's
you're right. I mean, I'd rather see Yuri Slavkovsky on an overtime than Jake Evans. It's and as I said, if you're putting Jake Evans out there to win the face-off, okay, but that wasn't why he was out there. He was out there for regular shifts. And Slavkovsky, as you said, sat on the bench. And to me, if they're trying to build confidence for Jake Evans, if that was the thinking, well, I think it's a little bit more important to keep building the confidence of Yuri Slavkovsky in this rebuild moving forward. And I think Slavkovsky, with his size and his shot, would be a lot more effective player in the overtime period than Jake Evans.
Stu, you want to make a lot of people really mad? I got your next tweet for you.
What's that?
you could tweet Jonathan Drouin has 5 more goals than Uri Slafkovsky.
Oh God!
You could just make like
Yeah.
drop
I don't need the headaches. Not at this time.
just you could do that and then just turn your phone off. Go take a nap. Put it on do not disturb and go take a nap.
I'm a journalist. I report facts. It's nothing. As it says, that one was like, I was like, seriously? I was just stating a fact that Joel Armia has more goals than Uri Slafkovsky. It was no, it's a fact. And it's a fact. Jonathan Drouin has 5 more goals than Uri Slafkovsky right now. That's
but you know what? You feel good for Jonathan Drouin.
I do.
You feel good.
I like Jonathan.
A great situation.
I liked Jonathan when he was here. I thought he was like he didn't hide. Like he was there to face the media, whether he had a good game or bad game. There's times after bad games we'd go in the room on the road, and none of the players would be in the room. Maybe one guy would come out, and they'd go in and ask, and Drouin would always come out. Like he would always, if there was no, he would come out and face the heat. I admired him for that. There's too many games where he didn't really show up, sort of similar to Joel Armia. But again, I think just, we saw those games that he missed when he had to leave for mental health reasons. He just wasn't built to handle everything that comes with playing with the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, that's he's not the first guy. He's not the last guy. That's going to be the case. So some guys can handle the spotlight better. Others, it's tougher. Cole Caulfield, he was on, I think, Spit and Chicklets podcast last week, and he was talking about how it's sort of adjusting to not being able to go anywhere without being recognized in town. That's difficult. That's hard. Some people are better able to handle that than others. And Jonathan Drouin, it weighed on him here. It really did. And we saw the toll it took on him mentally. Now to go to Colorado where he can walk the streets and nobody knows who he is. 80% of people probably don't care, even if they didn't know who he was. They're more interested in the Denver Broncos or whatever else is going on. So he's with Nathan McKinnon, his junior teammate and buddy. So I'm really happy for Jonathan Drouin to see him doing well. Some people will rip him because he didn't perform here. But it was not Montreal was not a good fit for him. It just wasn't a good fit. He didn't have the mental makeup to be able to handle everything that comes with playing with the Canadiens on and off the ice.
And I'm sure this will be a conversation that Tony will dive into further on Monday after the Canadiens game against the Colorado Avalanche, when Drouin comes back to town. But listen, my stance was always this when it came to a hockey player. Goals, assists, like it is what it is, because I'm never, ever going to knock someone for taking a $5.5 million, like $5.5 million per year. Like if the Canadiens,
if Matt offered you $5 million to do this show, would you say no, that's too much money?
No, come on, I'm not that good.
Come on,
no, I'm gonna take it. So it's the same thing that what happened with Roberto Luongo at one point in Vancouver. He goes, my contract sucks.
I hate my contract. Yeah, because they couldn't trade him because of it. Yeah, he didn't hate it when he signed it.
Yeah, well, that's it. He's not going to say no to that.
No,
just like Jonathan Drouin is not going to say no to a $36 million deal.
No, and then you see some of these contracts now in baseball, especially the Dodgers and that, and people are freaking out. How can they pay these guys so much money? And they're only happy. It's not worth it. And my response is always the same. If these guys are making that much money, how much are the owners making that they can afford to pay these guys that much money, right? So it's, Cole Caulfield is making $10 million this year. How much money are the Canadiens making off of Cole Caulfield with sweater sales and beer sales and everything else that comes along with it? So, Shaq O'Neal had that quote saying, I'm rich, I'm not wealthy. The guy who signs my paycheck, he's wealthy.
Yeah. Oh, so there you go. Like that's just what it is. Jonathan Drouin, I got frustrated with a watch. Everyone got
he was like with Joel Armia. Frustrating to watch. Joel Armia is like, I had a lot of conversation with Jonathan Drouin. He was talkative with the media, whether it was on the record or whether you're just talking with him about life. He was a fun guy to talk with, fun guy to chat with. Joel Armia says absolutely nothing. He's a man of very few words. You got a 1 or 2 word answer. That's fine. That's just his personality. He's a quiet guy. He seems like a really, as I've said, I think on this podcast many times, he's a big, shy, quiet guy who plays hockey, unfortunately, like a big, shy, quiet guy. He doesn't have that that sort of mean streak. And it's interesting. I have a column that's on Hockey Inside Out now on Jim Madigan, who was the longtime coach at Northeastern University, and he coached Jaden Struble there. He coached Jordan Harris there, and coached Caden Primeau there. And he was talking about Jordan Harris and like what a nice guy he is. And everybody says the same thing about Ramage. Had a great line at evaluation camp. I think it was last year. If Jordan Harris wanted to run for president of the United States, he'd probably win. He's one of the nicest kids I've ever met on or off the ice. And he was a super nice, polite, great kid. And Jim Madigan was saying all the same things. He said, but he has a mean streak too when he's on the ice. He's got a long fuse, but he says if it blows, he can be nasty on the ice. And he says a lot of those nice guys don't have that. They can't. They're nice off the ice, and they're too nice on the ice. And then he also talked about Jaden Struble, and he said Jaden Struble can really not be nice and enjoys playing that role. It comes naturally to him. He's got an edge to him on and off the ice. And pretty interesting when you think you got 3 kids who all played at Northeastern, all American, all playing for the Canadians. And Madigan grew up in Montreal. Went to Loyola, played for the NDG Maroons in youth hockey. And he said, says, not only 2 kids that I coached at Northeastern playing for the Canadians, but playing on the same defense pairing. Like, that's kind of cool.
They're like, you want Northeastern, if you want to promote your hockey program, get some recruits, have that up on the wall. Look at it. This could be you. This could be you.
Three of them playing for the Habs.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable if you think about it, actually. So there you go. Go over. I urge all of our listeners and viewers to go over to hockeyinsideout.com and to give that a read, because I'm going to do that right before I go to bed right now. So I'll tell you that for sure. So Stu, thank you very much for joining me on this Wednesday night, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. I hope you're not as angry right now as you were at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm not as angry right now. Let's hope I'm not. I'm also feeling how I'm feeling now at this time tomorrow.
All right, there you go. All right, have a good night.
Thanks, Stu. All right, that was Stu Cowan. I'm Matt Ohayon. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to be talking to Grant McCagg after the Canadians take on the San Jose Sharks. Tony's back on Friday. Back to your regularly scheduled programming as of Monday when Tony returns from Europe over to Montreal. Thank you for listening. I'm Matt Ohayon. We'll catch you tomorrow.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.